On September 10, 2025, the U.S. Supreme Court made a landmark decision: President Trump's global tariffs were not allowed. These tariffs were special taxes on goods coming into the U.S., and their removal changes prices for everyday Americans. The ruling shifts the power to set trade rules and taxes back to Congress, as the Constitution intended. For years, tariffs made imported goods like clothes, electronics, and food more expensive, costing families over $1,000 more each year. With the tariffs gone, prices could drop, giving families more spending power. Many businesses that rely on imports are relieved, expecting lower costs. But some U.S. companies, once protected from foreign competition, now face new challenges. The decision creates uncertainty for American businesses, big and small. The Supreme Court's ruling is a turning point, affecting the economy and the money in your pocket. It's not just about politics or big business, it's about how government decisions shape daily life. The case boiled down to a simple question: who controls trade policy, the president or Congress? The justices decided the president had overstepped, restoring power to elected lawmakers. This decision will be felt in stores, factories, and family budgets across the country. Now everyone is trying to understand what this change means for them. The ruling marks a new chapter in how America handles trade. It's a moment that will shape the economy for years to come. The Supreme Court's decision is more than a legal ruling. It's a shift in how power is balanced in Washington. Americans everywhere are watching to see what comes next. The economy and the rules that govern it just changed overnight. The story began in April 2025 when President Trump declared the U.S. trade deficit a national emergency. A trade deficit means the U.S. buys more from other countries than it sells. The administration used a special law, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEPA, to impose sweeping tariffs on nearly all imports. These Liberation Day tariffs were broader than any before, affecting almost every product. The president argued this would boost American factories and jobs by making imports more expensive. But many experts said IEPA wasn't meant for this. It was designed for true emergencies, not to overhaul trade policy. Critics warned this was a major expansion of presidential power, raising questions about the limits of executive authority. The goal: make Americans buy more U.S.-made goods and pressure other countries to change their trade rules. But the result was higher prices for businesses and shoppers, sparking a nationwide debate. Some industries benefited, but many small businesses struggled with rising costs. The tariffs quickly became one of the most controversial policies of the year. The move set the stage for a legal showdown over who really controls U.S. trade. The country was divided. Were the tariffs helping or hurting the economy? The answer would soon be decided in court. The stakes were high for every American household and business. As soon as the tariffs hit, a coalition of small businesses in 12 states challenged the president's authority. Companies like VOS Selections and Learning Resources argued the tariffs threatened their survival. The states, led by Democratic governors, said the new taxes hurt local economies and cost jobs. Together, they filed a lawsuit claiming the president had violated the Constitution by taking powers reserved for Congress. Their case centered on the separation of powers. Only Congress can set taxes and regulate commerce. They argued a trade deficit emergency didn't give the president the right to rewrite tax law alone. The businesses detailed how tariffs forced them to raise prices or cut profits, an unsustainable situation. States showed evidence of job losses and factory closures linked to the tariffs. The legal challenge quickly gained momentum, drawing national attention. The fight was about more than money. It was about the limits of presidential power. The lawsuit became a test of the Constitution's checks and balances. The outcome would affect not just trade, but the very structure of American government. The stage was set for a historic courtroom battle. The nation waited for the courts to decide who really holds the power. The legal battle moved fast, starting in the U.S. Court of International Trade. In May 2025, judges sided with the businesses and states, ruling the president had overreached. The Trump administration appealed, but the federal appellate court upheld the decision. Two courts agreed: the president's use of IEPA for sweeping tariffs was illegal. With options running out, the administration turned to the Supreme Court. The case was urgent. Billions of dollars and the balance of power were at stake. The Supreme Court agreed to hear the case on an expedited basis, recognizing its national importance. In a rare move, the justices heard arguments and issued a ruling just one day later, on September 10, 2025. The speed of the process showed how critical the issue was. The country watched as the highest court prepared to decide the fate of the tariffs. The legal journey had reached its final stop. The Supreme Court's decision would be swift and historic. The outcome would set a precedent for presidential power and economic policy. The stakes could not have been higher. America braced for the verdict. The Supreme Court's decision was clear: only Congress can impose broad taxes on imports. The justices ruled the president cannot use emergency powers to bypass this fundamental role. They emphasized the Constitution's separation of powers and Congress's authority over trade and taxes. The court found that IEPA was never meant to allow a president to create a nationwide tariff system. The major questions doctrine played a key role. Big economic changes require clear permission from Congress. The ruling was a strong check on the growing power of the presidency. Even in emergencies, the president must follow the law and respect Congress's authority. The decision reinforced the principle that no one is above the Constitution. The justices acted quickly, ending legal uncertainty and sending a powerful message about limits on executive power. The ruling immediately struck down the tariffs and restored Congress's control over trade. It was a defining moment for American democracy. The court's swift action showed the gravity of the constitutional question. The balance of power had been reset. The Supreme Court's decision created a massive financial headache for the government. By August 2025, $475 billion had been collected in tariffs, $210 billion from the now illegal ones. Companies that paid these taxes want refunds, putting hundreds of billions in legal limbo. Refunding this money is a logistical nightmare for the Treasury, which has already spent much of it. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent warned that even partial refunds would strain government finances. The loss of tariff revenue leaves a big hole in the federal budget. Congress now faces tough choices: cut spending, raise other taxes, or borrow more. For families, the end of tariffs means lower prices, an estimated $1,000 a year in savings. But some consumers may seek refunds for higher prices they paid, possibly leading to lawsuits. The ripple effects will be felt in government programs, business finances, and household budgets. The process of refunding could take years, with uncertainty for everyone involved. The government must now balance fiscal responsibility with fairness to businesses. The financial shockwaves from this decision will last for years. The Supreme Court's ruling didn't just change trade policy, it upended the nation's finances. The challenge now, how to move forward. This Supreme Court ruling is more than a trade policy decision, it's a major shift in American government. For decades, presidential power has grown, especially in foreign affairs. This decision reasserts Congress's role as the primary lawmaker. The ruling sets a precedent: emergency powers can't be used to make sweeping economic changes without Congress. It's a victory for the separation of powers, ensuring no branch becomes too powerful. The Supreme Court acted as a check on the executive, restoring balance. Congress now has clear authority over taxing and spending. The decision doesn't affect targeted tariffs under other laws, but it limits broad executive action. Future presidents, regardless of party, will face stricter limits on emergency powers. The ruling strengthens checks and balances at the heart of U.S. democracy. It's a reminder that the Constitution, not any one leader, sets the rules. The balance of power has shifted back toward Congress. The impact will shape American government for years to come. The Supreme Court's decision closes one chapter but opens many new questions. Businesses must quickly adapt to a world without tariffs. Some will benefit, others will struggle. The stock market is volatile, and foreign partners are watching closely. The ruling signals a return to Congress-led trade policy with more debate and compromise. Lawmakers now face pressure to take responsibility for economic policy. For families, lower prices are a relief, but some industries may lose jobs without tariff protection. The future of American manufacturing is uncertain. The debate over how to support U.S. workers in a global economy is more important than ever. This case is about power, democracy, and the rule of law. The Supreme Court has strengthened the role of the legislature in major economic decisions. What happens next will shape American trade, politics, and daily life for years. The story is far from over. This moment will be studied and debated for generations.